What is up, guys? Welcome to my review of The Joker. Now, I'm sorry it's been so long since my last upload, but I just figured I would do a review of this movie because I watched it not too long ago. I watched it like 4 days ago, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I know it's 2 years too late, probably for most people, but I really enjoyed this movie. And there was some adults out there that was probably worried about this movie. Is like, oh, it's gonna cause a mass shooting and all that stuff. But I don't really see it as that. I just see it as like, you know, don't mess with people you don't know, or if you mess with people you do know a little bit, um, don't mess with them too much because they'll turn into a psychotic killer. Well, anyways, I thought this movie was fantastic. The opening scene starts with him, putting his fingers, like, on his lips and then, or in his mouth and then grinning and then, cause his job is to be a clown. But, these people, like, beat him with a sign. And that's the first mistake of this movie. You don't beat a man you barely even know. You don't, like, with a sign. That was just the start of it. Then these guys on he gets on a subway and these guys start bullying him on the subway. And then he shoots both of them. He shoots two of them and then chases one off of the subway. Oh, and if I didn't mention before, this is a spoiler review. The movie's been out for 2 years. Luckily, I didn't get spoiled by it, or not by much, anyways. But I felt like it was a slow movie, but like a movie to hold off long enough. Like it wasn't a boring movie, it was just a slow movie where there was like long drawn out scenes, but they were put together perfectly. And so yeah, he talks to this like therapist or whatever at the beginning of the movie, and she's not even listening to him. So right there you could tell it's a little bit off. And some of the scenes where he's looking up on stage, you could see that um, he's laughing on the offbeats. Everybody else is laughing on point, but he's laughing a few seconds later, which I think totally matches the Joker. And he looks up to this TV host, Murray Franklin, on his VCR, which at the time this movie took place in, he would be a rich boy, because, like, that's impressive if you have a VCR right then and there. But there was like this ongoing gag where he was trying to kill himself, and we know that doesn't happen. Like, we know this is a DC movie, but at the same time it doesn't feel like a DC movie. Like, if you just took away Joker and DC, I bet it would still be a great, fantastic movie. But um, later on, this girl, it's hard for me to try to explain this. This girl comes in the elevator with him, with her kid. And I thought it was kind of weird, because that kid was never to be seen again. But, he likes that girl. And that girl likes him for, like, stalking him. Or for him stalking her, and we find out later on that she's just a hallucination this whole time, which makes you think, was any of that real? Like, when he was laughing on the offbeat chances. Was that all in his head? Because at the end, we know he's talking to uh, I really wouldn't know what to call her. A a psychiatrist, either a psychiatrist or a therapist. But he ends up killing her later because we see bloody footprints when he's walking. Which, I mean, the body count in this movie, it isn't tremendous. In fact, it's very few. I'll tell you right now, there's 14 people that die in this movie on screen. Well, I don't know. The therapist at the end kind of died off screen, and there was like an ambulance driver that probably died while driving in a taxi car because he kind of started this movement when he shot Murray Franklin on TV. Which he did that because, you know, Murray Franklin, honestly, he wasn't really a good TV host. He was making fun of him. He's like, "Oh, is that the punchline?" And he's like, "No, that's not the punchline. You are." So he just shoots him in the head. And, like, honestly, it's kind of sad because sometimes we treat people like this, and it's not funny at all. It, it's kind of twisted that this could honestly happen in real life. This is not your normal DC movie. This is not your, this is not a Marvel movie at all. DC has always been dark, always will be. And people are like, oh, why does it have to be R? Why do they have to show all these things? For Joker, for Joker and Deadpool, it makes sense. Wolverine, I get that's probably a bit of a stretch, but like, it ended his Hugh Jackman's career as Wolverine on a high note. But honestly, I thought it was necessary for this film. Um, there was this one scene where he's in this hotel with a guy named Gary and Randall. With Gary being the midget and Randall being the tall dude. But he just straight up stabs this dude in the eye with a knife because that same bald guy was like kind of at the beginning. I don't really know. I'd say it was more in the middle. But he just stabs this guy in the eye with a knife. Now, I don't know if it's with scissors or a knife, but I'm pretty sure it was a knife. Because as we all know, Joker likes to use a knife. And that's what I thought he used. My older brother, my older brother, my older brother thought he used scissors to stab him in the eye. But to me, that just doesn't make sense. This is like, you know, this is a story about a man. Like, this is not the story about the Joker we know. This is a story about a man turning into a psycho. And it just shows you how crazy our society can get. Because things like this can happen. Like, I don't think I've ever been so shocked by a DC movie before. But in a good way. Because all the other ones, like Batman v Superman, oh no, he's gonna use his kryptonite. You know, like, Martha, why did you say that name? You know, it's just not realistic. He's not necessarily a bad guy. Because throughout the movie, you felt sympathy for him, even though you knew what he would later become. But I think he played a fantastic Joker. And that midget, I just felt bad for because that tall dude, like Gary was thinking, he killed him for no reason. So why wouldn't he be killed? But obviously, he killed him for a reason. But this is what I like about the Joker. He unlocked the door for him, kissed him on the head, and said, "You were the only one that was ever nice to me." And he didn't kill the midget. He killed which I thought it was funny. His name was Gary, because I have a friend named Gary, and he kind of looks like a midget. But even his own mother, which wasn't really even his mother, it was like his, because he had his actual mother. Penny Fleck was a mother who adopted him, and she had very abusive boyfriends or husbands or whatever. I think it's just boyfriends because if you paid attention closely, you would see that the paper said that he was abused, like very severely, and his mom lied this whole time. He can't. He. I don't think he remembered, being abused. But I mean, I guess it explains why he is. And he was supposed to take this medicine, but he said, "No, I'm not gonna take this medicine." And I think that was a good thing. Honestly, I'm kind of rooting for Joker on this one. Like, there's no real bad guy here. Society is the bad guy. I want to say Murray Franklin's the bad guy, but I don't know. There was a bunch of stuff going on, and towards the end, when he wipes the blood on his lips, that's truly when he becomes the Joker. Like throughout the movie, he looks like the Joker, but he hasn't fully fledged into becoming the Joker, which is what I love about this movie. Um, it's fantastic. His laughs and his expressions just made me like, ugh. Like, it was truly upsetting, but an awesome performance by Joaquin Phoenix. It's pronounced Joaquin. I always said like Joe Quinn or something weird like that at first, but no, it's Joaquin Phoenix. And I don't know if it's necessary or not to include Bruce Wayne's parents dying at the end, because that was just sort of like a, hey, this is a Batman movie, or no, hey, this is a DC movie. Don't forget, because throughout this entire time, you're just like mesmerized that you kind of forget that this is a DC film. And when it ended, I was like, I want more of this. But then I realized we have more of this. But it's kind of sad because I kind of want to see it like continued in this way. Like it's I don't know how to describe this movie. It's a terrible movie, but it's a terrific movie all the same. Letting me wait a couple years before watching this movie, because I was 14 at the time when this came out, and they didn't think I was old enough to watch this movie. But honestly, I think I would have been able to handle it, because there was only really one brutal murder scene, and then there was like a couple headshot scenes, and that was pretty much it. Besides the blood smothered on his lips and the footprints at the end. And for a rated R movie, this doesn't really have a whole lot of cuss words. So honestly, I'd say if you're 14, you could probably watch this. Keep in mind, this is a very realistic movie, like I've said the past 8 times now. Very grounded movie. This is not a Batman movie. Keep that in mind, and you'll be good. We do see a 6-year-old Bruce Wayne in this movie, but we don't see Bruce Wayne. And it is kind of creepy on how Arthur approaches Bruce, because he puts his like fingers in his mouth, and then Alfred just like, oh no no no, you can't do that, which I totally agree. Even though you feel sympathy for this man, and even though he got treated like trash by everyone except for Gary, he still is a bad person. Like, he brought a gun to a kid's hospital. He killed his mom with a pillow. Well, that was after the fact that he found out that she was lying to him. Uh, he put his hands in like Bruce's mouth. And oh yeah, he's socially awkward. He is terribly socially awkward in this movie. Throughout this movie. And the part where you find out he's hallucinating about Zazie Beetz' character, I forgot who her name was when she went into the hotel and she said, "Who are you? Get out of my hotel." And you're like, wait a second. This was the same girl that literally kissed the Joker. And that's what you're gonna tell him? At that point, you know he's definitely hallucinating. But who knows? This movie could all just be one fantastic dream in the world of Arkham Asylum. Because at the end, he was in Arkham Asylum. And that could have been a whole story he was telling. That could have been the story he was telling. And he said he was thinking of a joke that was funny, and it was flashing back to Bruce just standing over his parents. And it's saying, don't treat people badly, especially with people with mental illnesses. And also, that was the day Joker and Batman were both born. It's basically what this movie is trying to tell you. And it is kind of sad, because people are like, huh, what are you laughing at? Even though he has a mental condition that he can't control, you're just gonna laugh at him like that. This is what this is what Gotham turned into. Are you happy? Are you happy, everybody? It was brilliant from start to finish. It was shocking. It was graphic. And it was probably one of the best DC movies I've ever seen. It's definitely in my top 3. I wouldn't say my best DC movie that I've ever seen, because Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, even though those are ranked as terrible movies, those movies hold a special place in my heart, because Batman v Superman just made me like Batman and Superman more, and Suicide Squad, that's just a good movie. I didn't really care what the critics said. I didn't care what other people said. That was a terrific movie. So I would probably place this number 2 on my DC scale, and then the Dark Knight trilogy after Batman v Superman. That's how I would put it. So hope you enjoy my review. And I'll see you in the next review if I ever do another review. Peace.